Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here once again to talk about more Surviving Bloomington, my favorite show that's on at the moment, Survivor 48, Count Your Days. I am Drew, joined as always by Steven. Hi, Steven.
Drew, I missed you last week, so I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back here again.
I had to wrap up filming Survivor 49. I told you that's where I was. They told me I could have my phone for that one night. Jeff is a big supporter of the Surviving Bloomington community, so I'm really grateful for him allowing me that. But yeah, it was good watching you and Rachel and hearing what you had to say.
But, just us alone would be a little boring. So join us today. We have another Surviving Bloomington alum who's played Survivor Pennsylvania and other games as well. Makenzi. Makenzi, how are you doing?
Good. Hi. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Excited for summer vacation.
I hear you.
Oh yeah, Steven, you've made it through tax season, and now it's almost the end of the semester. I'm sure you're very ready for the next couple months off.
All I want is a normal distribution of the student exam grades. They can all suck, but as long as it's a nice little normal curve, I can shift with curving. That's all I care about.
Makenzi, do you have anything going on in the LRG world at the moment?
Greenhouse 6 just got done airing, so if anyone wants to watch me on something, I'd say go watch that.
I should sit down and watch that. I haven't watched any Greenhouse. I'm not knowledgeable in that game. Was it a good season? Should we go watch?
I really don't think that I'm being biased. It's a good season, and there's one episode that's so dramatic. You'd like it.
We love drama. The season 6 Surviving Bloomington cast loves drama. The season 7 cast, let's talk about them. Makenzi, what are you thinking about the season so far?
I'm having fun with the season. I love the little mischief advantages. That's very fun. I like the players a lot. It's not going the way that I thought it would. I do have thoughts on some missed opportunities and a couple within this episode specifically that I'm interested to hear your takes on. But yeah, I'm having fun watching so far.
I had to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead, Steven.
So how did you think it would go?
I thought it would be a little bit more fluid. I feel like in the last like few years, at least in Real Survivor and in LRGs, I feel like it plays a little bit more fluid and people are really staying strong to their original alliances, and it's just surprising to me.
Yeah, this is something that I've talked with various people about through the week, is that my biggest gripe as a viewer with this season is that the players are sticking with their original tribes. The only people who have been, you're not trying anything. The only people this season who have been somewhat flexible with moving between original tribes was Allison when she flipped away from original red when she was on yellow. And then we've seen Maggie mingle with Zach and Savannah a bit. But then obviously this episode, Maggie flips back to blue because that's what she has to do. And everybody else is sticking with their original tribes. And I think that's kind of a result of they had a whole day where they didn't have to vote anybody out. So they just got to bond with their tribes. And then swapping after one vote. I mean, what are you going to do if you're thrown into a swap? You're going to stick with what you're comfortable with.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
Makenzi, go first.
Okay, I was going to say, I agree with what you're saying from a viewer standpoint, Drew. It's like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to see something crazy. But also when you are in that position and you do feel so secure with a group, why?
Exactly. As a player, I'm like, cannot blame them. Cannot blame them.
Yeah. The only thing is maybe run a couple more outcomes, or maybe just think about, even if you're not willing to flip or do anything, I think maybe if there's a player already going out the door or that you're not worried about in a threatening way, that you could still utilize them a little bit, you know?
Makenzi, who on this season do you know? Like, did you know before the season aired?
A lot. Joelle, Taylor, Eric. I played a game with Savannah. Danny, of course. I played a game with Savannah. We didn't get a chance to meet each other, though. Danny, am I missing I have to be missing someone.
Lots of newbies around in this season too.
I think people just I've seen, and I think that I know them, but I don't. Like I've seen Allison a lot, I've seen May a lot, but I don't know them. Yeah. So I think that's it.
And you knew Jacob, but you met him after the season filmed, but before it aired.
Yes, but still not in like IRL. Yeah.
Okay. Steven, let's talk about the episode for a minute. First thing I want to point out, the very first thing I wrote down, Redemption Island players are in the intro sequence. Yay!
I was very excited to see that as well.
Yeah. Makenzi, who do you want to come back from Redemption Island?
Different people for different reasons. I really enjoy watching Frances talk. Like anytime she was doing a confessional, enjoyed that. Carlos, I feel bad because if that was a mistake vote, it's like I wish he could get another chance.
To be clear, Carlos would have gone out regardless of if Francis voted by mistake or not. It would have been a 3-2, but because Francis voted wrong, it was a 4-1 on the revote.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But I'm really rooting for Allison.
Oh, yep. I think a lot of us are after this episode. Very emotional episode for Allison.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the challenge that we start off with. And fun fact, this challenge was edited by Little Matt. I believe Casey handed it over editing power for this challenge. So Little Matt edited the challenge. Basically, each round, each tribe's going to select 3 members. They're going to be blindfolded. Casey's going to say a color. And when he says go, they have to go stand on a tile that's been placed in a field. Steven, what's up?
Are the tiles being shuffled after every color that's called, or just for each set of players?
It was so after every time a color was called and they ran out, they would go back, re-blindfold, and tiles were moved.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. And keeps going down until there's one person left standing. That player earns a point for their team. First team to 3 points wins. Eric decides to use his challenge advantage. And Makenzi, what did you think about someone remembering to bring their challenge advantage to a challenge?
I like that move. Really helpful.
It's a great move. Brilliant. Never before seen in Bloomington.
Also, hi, Joelle. I feel like someone was talking when we put the little comment up there. Yeah. But it's cool that he held on to it for so long.
Yeah, very long time compared.
I mean, to be fair, Makenzi, you were able to use the great effect as well in our season, right? And when you used it, it paid off.
That was so helpful. I wish that forgetting it was a play. It wasn't.
So basically, Eric gets to choose a round of the game to sit someone out on the other tribe, giving their team it was like a Mario Party minigame.
That's really what I thought when I saw it. Mario Party mixed with musical chairs.
Yes. Eric chooses to sit Jacob out for a round. I think that makes sense. Jacob on the other tribe. First of all, I think Jacob's the only man on the current blue tribe, which isn't like saying a lot, but he very clearly, I would say alongside Brittany and Eleanor, is one of the more athletic people. He's the tallest person. He has the longest legs. Running challenges are going to be a little bit easier for him. He sits out Jacob. And so in one of the rounds, they start up 3-2. We see the red tribe ends up winning in the end, but quite a few interesting moments during this challenge. Savannah and Mariah have a bit of an unintentional tackle. We don't talk about it at all on the season, but that did actually cause Mariah quite a bit of issue moving forward with her hip. It's not mentioned on the season because she did not want other people to be aware of it in the real time. And but Mariah did actually hurt her hip.
Savannah just falls on Mariah, all right?
Yeah.
And so she takes the hit there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then wasn't there a second set of like weird people, like something happened between two people? I don't know. But Red Tribe ends up barely winning. It comes down to the very last round, to the last point.
Savannah carries.
Savannah carries.
Rushed. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the second time we've seen Savannah like really come out and show what she can do in a challenge. I mean, the bottle holding endurance. She also did really well on the tug of war challenge as well. So could be something to look at. Makenzi, how would you do in this challenge?
I think I would do fun, or I think I would do good. It also looks so fun. That's like the main thing. I'm getting really jealous about these challenges because they look so fun. The 5-legged challenge, that was awesome. I don't know how I would do in the bottle thing. That one looked less fun to me. That just looked painful and long. But yeah, I had that. Savannah did really good in this. Also, Eric did well, and Drew every time was like scurrying along, just barely making it there. That was fun to watch.
Steven, you looked like you had something to say.
I felt like Eric's advantage did make a difference here. It's hard to know. I feel like every round Eric and his team was in, they won. But it did feel like this was in Backler. You know, who knows? Maybe they would have won otherwise for just the people they put out there. It's hard to know. But it did feel like the advantage did make a difference, and it was fun hearing Eric be surprised in his confessional letter. Like they didn't throw, they didn't try to take me out.
You have to also think about like it kind of makes sense for the rest of the Red Tribe to actually just try in this challenge because they know Eric is going to be trying because Eric has no incentive to not try. And if the more they win, the more the other team has to vote out blue people or Allison, which is what we see happening.
And there's always the risk that Eric plays something, one of them goes home.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything else from the challenge? I mean, it was a pretty straightforward challenge, very fun one. The last round was really fun because we were able to like sneak up behind them and place the towel directly behind where they started, which was fun. Yeah, that's our challenge. We go back to camp. Let's talk about the Red Tribe first. And I have written down, this is Eric versus the haters.
Eric versus the world.
Well, we need to talk about Eric's costume change. We get scenes where Eric takes the clown costume off. Now he wears the nose, but the rest comes off. Does that violate the rules he set out for himself?
When it's 95 degrees outside, it's okay to violate that rule.
Because like it did look miserable to wear in that heat.
Yeah, no, I don't blame Eric at all. Like, please take care of your physical health. And I guarantee it was awful, probably.
Though I do feel robbed of seeing the other tribe's reaction to Eric coming out in full clown costume. I was hoping to see that as they got to the challenge arena.
Yeah, I wish we would have gotten to see that too. It may not be on film, but yeah. But yeah, Eric is not happy. He says, I hate all of these people. And he's pretty upfront with them too about like Taylor and Joelle lied to me. Joelle did a bad job of lying to me, but at least Taylor can lie. But obviously now he knows that they lie. Eventually, this leads to basically Eric calling out Joelle, being like, why are you asking me about who I'm trying to work with? We're clearly not working together, so I'm not giving you this information. Who are you working with? Who's your final six? And Joelle's like, oh, okay. Haha, very funny. I don't know. We finally have beef on the season.
Was that a question?
Yeah, it was a statement.
Somebody say something. I don't want to do all the talking. We finally have a little bit of season 6 popping its head up in season 7. Somebody finally is mad at somebody else. I love to see it.
Yes, of course. It's very fun.
So, Makenzi, if you were in Eric's position, what would you do?
Okay, this is what I would do. This is where I think there's opportunities missed on everyone's part, because if Eric cannot win individual immunity, to me, that is a huge opportunity. Why wouldn't anyone try to speak to him and say, hey, your own parameters, you can't win immunity. Help me get it. I'll give you keys. There's nothing like against that. Like try to maybe make a symbiotic relationship, or if you're not even willing to commit to that, just tell him, hey, help me in the next one. I'll give you a key. You still vote him out. It doesn't matter. He's not on jury. I wanted to see people play with that a little bit. And no one really took that bait, But I think
Well, and May tells us, May's like, oh, I think I have an in with Eric. I have a good relationship with Eric. So if I need to flip, like that's my in. But Eric straight up tells us, like, no, none of these people are reaching out to me. I don't like any of them. I don't want to work with any of them. So it's like May thinks that she's good, and clearly she's not. And that happens with another duo later that we'll talk about. But yeah, May seems convinced that like I have an in with Eric. I don't know where that's coming
Well,
from.
I think Eric's going to May, Savannah, and Drew and saying like, Taylor and Joel lied to me. They sold me short. I don't trust them. You didn't lie to me. I'm so like he's kind of making that inroad, and all those three kind of have these coaches like, hey, this may be something I can do. I can do something with this later on. But then Eric tells us like, hate everyone.
Well, we know already Eric doesn't want to work with Drew because Drew gives half answers to Eric about a bunch of stuff. We saw that last episode where Drew tells Eric, yeah, there are cracks, but I'm not telling you what they are. And Eric's like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, so I think it seems like Eric is very quickly running out of options, and he points that out to us several times.
But didn't Drew vote with Eric?
Well, he voted with Eric, but he didn't vote with Eric. He voted not against Eric in a planned split.
Yeah. Well, just if I was Eric looking for allies, I would just take that little. That's something to hold on to, you know.
Yeah. I will also say from like a personality standpoint, I really enjoyed Eric this episode. Earlier in the season, I was not as high on Eric in terms of like entertainment, but because I think now he's actually realizing he has to play the game and he can't stick to a bit the whole time, I'm really enjoying Eric. This episode was very entertaining from an Eric standpoint, and I need to give big props because I was very critical of Eric earlier in the season.
True.
This was fun. This was very fun, Eric.
Drew, do you have a need?
Do what?
Do you have a need?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Keys?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so sad we were not closer to Eric when he's like shouting that with the stick in the forest. I so desperately wanted a close up of him.
It's better that it was far away because you.
I do think it's very funny that he's now obviously searching for keys. And he's just like, yeah, I'm looking for keys. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do. We also get reiteration that the trio of May, Joelle, and Taylor are still sticking tight. There's a little bit of concern from May about the three of them being targeted because they haven't gone to tribal much. I think the three of them in total like have gone to one tribal each. And so May's worried that they're going to be targeted because of that. I don't understand that logic. I understand the logic of like they could be targeted because they've been together the whole time. But yeah. Also Eric saying in one of his confessionals that nobody on this tribe is being flexible or giving him anything is very funny because that's exactly what he did to Danny when they were on Yellow together. I'm just saying.
Hey, as a Survivor player, I like flexibility when I'm in the minority, and I don't need to give flexibility when I'm the majority. What can I say?
Exactly. No, I just think it's very funny because we see very clearly when Eric's on Yellow, Danny goes up to Eric and is like, can we do something? And Eric's like, yeah, I'm not interested in working with you. And then basically the inverse happens here where Eric goes to Red and they're like, no thanks. So I think that's very funny.
So question about Eric's relations, everyone. Like, he's feeling pretty burned by Joelle and Taylor. I'm curious, Drew or Makenzi, should Joelle and Taylor have played the previous round any differently, given they kind of have this pre-existing connection with Eric and they kind of want him out?
Well, I'm a very different player from Joelle and Taylor.
Which is allowed.
For me, if I'm one of them and I'm actually trying to keep doors open with Eric, the previous round, I go to him and say, listen, here's the plan. We're splitting on you and Trace, but you're getting the minority. My role in the vote is to vote for Trace, so I'll be voting for Trace. Just wanted to let you know that's the plan. I did that several times during season 6 with Daddy Matt, where I was like, hey, pretty sure you're getting a lot of the votes, just giving you the heads up because I respect you as a player. And that kept a door open for me and him through the merge. Now, we ended up being on opposite sides regardless, but because that door was open, we were able to continue having talks. But that's just how I operate as a player. I'm a pretty direct player.
Yeah, I feel like it has bitten me in the ass telling people, hey, I think we're just both on different sides. Happened to me with Daddy Matt. Unnecessary. I could have just been like, hey, that's how the last vote went. I'd really like to foster a relationship for maybe the next vote. Again, even if you don't mean it, if you maybe like, if there is a chance, I mean, he can't win immunity, so I'm trying to.
He can't win immunities.
What does that mean?
Like, it was a deal that he made, but is he going to actually follow through on it?
I think you'll have to ask Eric, or who can clarify on the comments, whatever. I think he agreed to throw a certain amount of individual challenges. Not all of them, but like the first 4.
No,
Okay.
I think he sold like up to 10.
Oh my God.
And it was gonna be however many weren't in the season, he was gonna refund.
Okay.
So up to all of them potentially.
Yeah.
I think from talking with him, I think his out is he can actually do like the final immunity challenge, like the very end he can do it, but like for like 5-6 of them, or like some large majority, he will.
But that's also on him sticking to his word on that. So
Yeah, if there's a chance that they do all end up making merge and it is Joelle and Taylor, for me, from Eric's point of view, if one of them would have extended like a real olive branch and then it was ever a situation where people were debating those 2 names, I would go the other one. So maybe we didn't see a conversation like that happen, but I just feel like when you fully close a door, you're just blocking off other opportunities.
Well, I also just want to say, from what we saw, Joelle did not handle this well. So, first of all, Joelle lies to Eric. Eric clocks Joelle for being a bad liar. And then in the next round, when Eric is out trying to save himself, Joelle comes up to Eric and is like questioning, like, who are you aligned with? What are you trying to do? And Eric's like, why would I tell you? Like, why would I tell you anything of all people out here? Why would I tell you? You just lied to me and told me that I wasn't getting votes. And now you're out here questioning me.
Yeah, the ground control could have been better. I'm curious what his intention was with that, if he was really actually trying to sort of extend an olive branch there and, all right, hey, who are you trying to work with on the other side? Maybe I can like meet you there. But after deceiving him, you probably need to give up a little bit of information on your own first, or maybe approach it a different way, because there's no world where Eric's going to feel like he owes you anything. But also, if I was Eric, I also would have spoken differently, you know?
Yeah. I think maybe that's where the May part comes in, because if Eric is mad at Taylor and Joelle for lying, if May is able to get in, that's one out of the trio who may be able to have some sort of sway. And again, there are 6 people left on the Red Tribe. If they have to go to tribal council, all it takes is that trio pulling in Eric to take out one of the other 2. So if that's the route,
that would be stunning.
Yep. I mean, the other option, what's the other option if Eric stays on the bottom? They go to tribal, they vote, the 5 vote Eric again, and he either goes out or he plays something and is safe, and the other 5 have to vote amongst themselves, and then the trio
Sounds exactly like the Allison plan.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. So
Well, if you know you're solid and you only have to make it one more, and then you're just thinking about merge.
Yep.
So Makenzi, when do you think merges?
I don't know. I won't have an educated answer. I never pay attention to that. Don't know.
We had a really late merge, but this cast is seemingly every episode being like, oh, merge is for sure next.
We're at 11 players. I mean, it just, the way that this round was structured, where both tribes in the tribal council, then just one more tribal council, it gives me the feeling like, is it next? I mean, and maybe this is Casey laughing at me, and we're gonna have another challenge, and like Eric will go home. But
every time I try to predict it, whether I'm watching or playing, I'm never right. And it doesn't seem to matter that I even tried to calculate it. So I don't know.
Update from Jacob. He's a little bit in the past, 2 minutes behind. But Eric was bluffing that he said he sold all his immunities. He really only sold 3.
There you go. And he's already used one. He already used one of the ones he sold in the bottle challenge. So I guess we'll see how that progresses. If it progresses, Eric has to make merge before that matters. So
I just really love watching an underdog story. I just like seeing when everyone is against one person, somehow them figuring it out.
Well, it's also like that is currently on this season, the strategic interest is you have on one side after this episode, on one side you have a team of 5, on the other side you have a team of 5 and Eric. So that's the point of strategic. It's not the only interesting thing going on, but that and the powers of mischief are what we have as far as major plot points right now. So we will definitely be watching Eric moving forward. Anything else on Red Tribe? I mean, from Drew, we're basically getting, I wrote down, Drew is still playing Survivor in 2002. Because that's what he's doing. He's just, well, I have my starting tribe. I'm loyal to them. When we have to vote, we'll vote out the person that's not them and keep moving forward. I really like these people. If the game comes to a point where I have to cut them, I will. Otherwise, we're good.
Yeah, I think I also kind of wish we heard some like more intrigue from Drew, or like he's like, how do I focus on Eric and bring Eric in? Drew is, I think, playing things in a very straightforward manner, which isn't bad with how the game is going. It has been straightforward in a sense.
I love to align with a person like that.
Yeah, Drew's an ideal ally. Love that.
I mean, Survivor 48, spoiler, like, all I'm watching is like, man, I would want to work with David so badly because David's telling me exactly what he's doing and what he's thinking and who he's working with. It's all transparent.
I love that.
That's how I play. And
I love when try to play and I just get stabbed in the back over and over. Hopefully one day I'll find someone where it works out.
Listen, nobody on the current panel stabbed you in the back on season 6. That's at least something.
That's true.
Your hands are clean.
Yeah.
I mean, before we move on from this tribe, I just want to like kind of going back to your discussion earlier about the fluidity. I'm going to bring up a comment from Joel. He said, "Hey, the round before didn't make sense for me and Taylor the flips, so we just went the status quo." And to be fair, this is Joel Taylor May's first tribal council. They've always been swapped with each other. This is their chance to prove trust. It would have been wild if they all just like immediately scatter. But
well, I mean. Their other option would be the trio instead of going back with Savannah and Drew, instead going with Trace and Eric.
Yeah.
And like it's like that would have been crazy, but yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And you know who know, like Drew's name has been tossed out as an easy as a potential pre-merge vote. Maybe something like that will happen in the future, but I don't blame them for how that first vote went.
No, I think the first vote was fine. But once he has, like, now he has nothing. I mean, when someone has nothing, they'll, like, give everything to stay in the game. So I like...
We see Allison trying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we see Allison trying that. We kind of get to see what could Eric have done from Allison's positioning.
And I think the Blue Tribe dynamics are more interesting given that you have people from 3 different swap tribes kind of all together with past relationships versus that Red Tribe. You have May, Joel, and Taylor together, Drew and Savannah were together, and so you don't.
And then Eric, again, it's just Eric. I have a question for both of you. So we're down to, after this episode, we're down to 5 original Reds. It's that trio of Taylor, May, Joel, and then Drew and Savannah. Of the original Red Tribe, because they're essentially a conglomerate again of 5, who is playing the best game of the 5?
Right now, I like Savannah's game. I am worried if she continues to win challenges that people might start to notice, or people might already be clocking it. I feel like she's expressed more openness. I'm gonna say Savannah.
Yeah, and Savannah definitely has that possible relationship with Maggie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think with Taylor and Joelle, I'm still struggling to kind of fully encapsulate their games. I think we've seen a lot of them in relation to Eric, but I don't feel like we get a strong sense of the positioning of the tribe as a whole. I feel like we've gotten the most of that from May, and so therefore I'm kind of more bullish on May because like May, Joelle, and Taylor have this unique aspect where like the two of the people they were swapped with are still in the game, while Savannah, it's only Maggie and Drew at this point, right? So I feel like May, Joelle, and Taylor have the most connections, and I feel like I've heard the most from May, so I feel the most confident in May's game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I tend to agree with actually the two people you guys said, May and Savannah, tend to be where I'm looking. I think with Savannah, she has the strength of having the Maggie relationship, but also like who's targeting Savannah? Who's looking at Savannah? Because if I'm on blue and I'm looking at red, I'm looking at the trio. I'm not looking at Savannah or Drew.
Yeah.
And then May has the benefit. Obviously, we see that May and Eleanor bonded a lot on the Swap Tribe. May has the connection to Brittany. May is apparently putting in work with Eric more so, at least, than Joelle and Taylor. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking to. Anything else on the Red Tribe or Eric? I say Eric like he's not on the Red Tribe.
Yeah.
But I mean, well,
I mean,
it seems like he doesn't want to be there either. So
Yeah.
It makes me wonder how deep the keys or little scrolls are hidden in the game. At least I felt like the most they were present in my game when we were in yellow. Yellow was in a very small, constrained area, and it kept being like in the bushes right by camp where John would find everything. I was just like,
I think there are less like task scrolls this season than there were in ours because you can inherit bounties, which provides more opportunities for keys, and so there are less opportunities for keys maybe hidden. Okay, let's talk about the blue tribe that goes to tribal council this episode. Joelle, I'm giving you negative Bloomy points this episode.
You get no for me. I have him for one of my favorite quotes.
I'm giving Joelle negative Bloomy points so I can give more to everyone else.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's talk about the blue tribe. And basically we are immediately clued in on it's everyone versus Allison, and Allison has to figure out what to save herself. Yeah. One thing what we kind of immediately jump into is Maggie. Maggie has just been on this venture through this tribe swap where she was on the bottom of her swap tribe, but outlasted Francis and Carlos on that swapped red tribe by making connections with Savannah and Zach. She flips back and immediately is like, yep, I'm going all in on blue. And I'm like, the one time somebody's flexible, they flip back immediately. And it, of course, makes sense for her too. Why would she not? Yeah. Makenzi, what have you thought about Maggie so far this season?
I want to give her more time. I feel like there's a couple players right now where I can see the plans that they have in action, but I need to see it more long term. I'm not sure about that right now.
I mean, I don't think it's bad for what she's doing because it's great for the short term, right? She's basically identifying Mariah and Jacob, and I'm gonna hitch my train to them and go where they go. They're my people, and she lays it out. I think she says like, we have very complementary games in a sense, right? And so is this gonna be her long-term game? I don't know, but she doesn't really have much choice for the short term. I think this is a good enough choice as any.
Yeah, it seems like this tribe has kind of, so the original Blues have come back together, the 5 of them, but within that 5, it seems like it's kind of Mariah and Jacob have stuck together. We know Jacob is Mariah's number 1. Mariah tells us all the time Jacob's her number 1. They were also on Swapped Yellow together. And then we have Brittany and Eleanor, who have been together the whole time, and they really like each other. Although something very crazy and weird to me happens with them this episode. And then Maggie is kind of in the middle, but it seems like she swings towards the Mariah Jacob side because Mariah tells Maggie about her power of mischief. Which
That was
Steven,
huge.
actually, let's talk to you. You've been waiting so long for one of these to be something to talk about.
Here, let me.
Tell us about this power of mischief and how you would use it. What's the strategy for this one?
So Casey lied to us and didn't show Mariah getting it last episode, and so we waited to this episode to hear that Mariah got this power of mischief, and essentially it's give up a vote to get a vote, and essentially it's almost a discounted extra vote. Most people are paying for 4, you're just paying 2 keys and a forgone vote. And so I mean, I think that she plays it exactly how she would. This is a vote where everyone's going all in, and you know who's not going to get voted on the revote? Mariah's not getting voted on the revote. So this is like the most safest time. And given how tense these numbers are, and let's say we do merge next episode and an original red comes back in the game, having that extra votes may make a huge difference. And so I'm thrilled for her. And even better, you can do it again. You can pay 2 keys, give up a second vote, and bank an extra vote, which I thought that was a really interesting flexibility to this Mischief Maker advantage.
Yeah, I definitely think she played it right. I guess my question is...
Just told people.
Well, I have 2 questions. So for each of you, put yourself in the mind space that you're in a game right now. So like you have a rough understanding of the power structure and what's going on, but obviously A, you don't have all the information, and B, you have misinformation because when you're in the game, people are going to lie to you. How do you know when to bank the vote? How do you know that you're safe enough to bank the vote?
Makenzi, I'll defer to you for this, the start.
I feel like that was a really good time for her to do it. So I guess it's more like Maggie is in between these 2 duos.
Right.
So I feel like that's also extra assurance from Mariah. I feel like that's extra assurance from her because she's getting confirmation from every which angle that she's talking about it. I feel like it was a great opportunity. Yeah.
This may be the safest possible opportunity I've seen in any season of Survivor ever for someone to not cast a vote.
Yeah. I mean, I think about when I'm in the game, it's like, what are you hearing, right? What are you hearing from people, and are the stories aligning? Now, granted, you're talking to a person who's been blindsided on trial before, so yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But based off the information and the level of certainty, you can kind of grasp like how you feel about a vote. At least I feel, right? And if everyone is saying Allison, and Allison is just running out of sheer panic on her face, you probably are starting to feel more comfortable saying, I think this is what's actually happening. I think we're all together on this. And if all of us are just all-inning, my vote truly doesn't matter. And I can safely give it up.
Plus, there's other factors. Like, I'm not there for the entire time. I can't gauge conversations that are happening. But it seems like Eleanor is very stuck to her guns. If I saw Eleanor having a longer conversation with Allison, maybe I would think about it. But it just seemed like it wasn't a secret.
Yeah. Well, and Eleanor and Allison kind of get into it publicly. They're at minimum in front of Mariah because Allison sort of pitches this thing about like, hey, you need to consider long-term what happens after I'm gone. You are on the bottom. And Eleanor's like, how so? Allison kind of tries to explain it. She like half is making sense, half isn't. And then later checks back in on it and is like, consider what I said. And Eleanor's like, I'm not doing that. And Allison's like, why? It makes sense for you to do it. And Eleanor's like, sounds good. Not doing it. And that was all in front of Mariah, at least in front of Mariah. And Mariah's like, I'm not even voting this time. So yeah, it's fine. She played it very well. She played the power of mischief as optimally as you can play it for the first part. We'll see if and when the extra vote come into play. I mean, ideally, you're trying to hold that till merge, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't foresee her needing to use it at all in this tribe unless it is Maggie, Brittany, and Eleanor versus Mariah and Jacob. And given what Maggie's been doing, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. So unless something strange happens.
I mean, so Makenzi, you received this Mischief Maker, right? it's the bank of vote, essentially bank and vote advantage, the personal vault, whatever. Do you tell people?
Ugh. I don't tell everyone. I tell one person.
So I understood her telling Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Especially, and
Yes.
after watching Survivor 48 and all the nonsense from losing your vote and how it just has wrecked people's games. But telling Maggie, I thought was really interesting.
I agree.
And the order of the editing made it seem like she told Maggie first and then circled back to tell Jacob. I'm trying to think if I would tell people in season 6. I told people information, but it was only the person or 2 people who I was closest to at that time. In the pre-merge, Brady knew everything that was going on with me, but almost nobody else did because I didn't tell them. In post-merge, I started flipping away from Brady because I thought we were forming a new majority. So I started telling all of my information only to Rachel and Makenzi. So Rachel and Makenzi had all my information. Now, neither of them believed that I was being honest with them, but I was being fully honest only to 2 people. So I feel like if I'm in this situation, I probably end up telling my closest ally or 2 allies and hope that it doesn't spread. I think Mariah telling Jacob makes 100% sense in my brain.
Well, so is Mariah telling Maggie as a way to bring Maggie in? Is it to build up that relationship? Is it just like, they are at that point where Maggie is in this core through them, so Mariah is being an open book?
I don't know. It's so weird because if we go back to the very beginning when they were on Original Blue, Maggie was not in the named majority that Mariah and Jacob were. It was Mariah, Jacob, Eric, Carlos, and there was a 5th person, Brittany, I think. Or no, it was Eleanor. Eleanor was the 5th person. So I don't know why Maggie and Mariah are just like instantly clicking back. Maybe they gave each other a bunch of info from their swap tribes.
May said, I don't. Can we put that comment up here? The talk about Maggie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did Maggie tell? Anyone?
So Maggie gets her Mischief Maker at Tribal Council in the voting booth. So we haven't seen Maggie tell anyone yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So Maggie
I forgot about that.
gets essentially very much like what Zach did. Maggie gets a clue to the hidden immunity idol that she can pay 2 keys to get a second clue or a third clue. Because let's be honest, the clue she got was so vague. All we know is it's buried and there's some other vague reference of like where to look.
The vague reference is basically like other people may be looking in the area.
Which that means nothing to me.
Right, if this was
is there a telescope somewhere in the woods? It's like
if this was an escape room, I would be hitting the hint button. Like I don't know.
Okay, so other people may be looking in the area. It makes me think like either A, that's like just referencing other people may have this kind of clue, or B, where in the game are people looking? Are you just like where people think there may be an idol? So something somewhere obvious.
So I'll tell you the predominant theory in the game from Maggie, and then obviously Zach had seen the clue as well, so he had a theory on redemption. The theory was, so at Tribal Council, from the player perspective, behind KC, there's like a bonfire pit. Kind of like, if you remember on season 6, there was like a little bonfire pit in front of our Tribal Council. There was a bigger one here. Players were thinking, because that pit had never been lit, people were assuming that the idol was on the bottom of the brush pile in front of Tribal Council, and that you would have to get up from your seat at Tribal to go get it.
Okay, so here's a thought. A place where people are looking tends to be the voting booth, right? All we see all season are people looking for stuff at the voting booth. Is it just buried at right before the voting booth? Like, so when you go to vote at the very like front of it, if you just dig right there, maybe that's where it is.
That's the
It's
best.
a very creative idea.
So far, yeah. I do think it's something like that. I think KC is too good at riddles and game making to just have it be like.
So okay, I'm gonna roll with this.
Here, like I think it is.
Both players from either so given that this is a pre-made Mischief Maker, right? You need to have the idol be accessible no matter what tribe you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it means it's somehow it's accessible throughout the game. So that kind of means it's, unless you can think like maybe it's specifically only my tribe set, but you can assume like, all right, it must be where we're doing challenges or somewhere
area.
tribal council related.
Yeah.
So I am actually okay. Talking Dell made me think that it's hidden right at the foot of the voting booth, buried.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Or where
not.
people are facing when they're sitting down for tribal council. Same thing where they're like lined up for challenges. I would think it's like got to be a point where like literally everybody is facing a certain way.
Yeah.
Or everybody is searching like the voting booth.
Well, Jacob tells us in that episode that he doesn't think there are any idols in this game.
Which is fair, because that's what happened to us really our season until at least the merge.
Yep. Jacob, I have a quick aside about Jacob as well. So Jacob is really good about sort of uploading information. Like when he's in confessional, he kind of info dumps on like, this is where numbers are, this is who I'm with, this is who we're voting. And then like, that's the confessional. I really am waiting to see a bit more personality from Jacob. I feel like we're kind of getting GameBot Jacob, and would love to see personality beyond just info dump in confessionals.
Because I think all the personality is being used on other people, right? Because I think he's having these very strong, intense like alliances with people, right? That are emotional, and therefore there's none of that's left for the confessionals.
Yeah, I understand. Jacob also is very funny. Every time he votes, it's like he's giving a confessional, because he has to like think through and process everything that's going on. It's very funny. But yeah, I would love to see some more personality in confessionals from Jacob. Again, I feel like we're just getting GameBot Jacob. It's kind of what's happening with Joel a little bit, where Joel has these one-liners that are very funny, but in confessionals, it's a lot of numbers. And I'm kind of like, okay, but I want to see Joel running the numbers. I don't want to just see numbers. I don't know if that's just me, but that's just something I noticed this episode. I'm like, Jacob's confessionals are all information. Yeah. Okay, I'll keep talking.
No,
sure.
Makenzi's processing. Hold on.
So something else we see in this episode, as the season has evolved, we're seeing this Brittany and Eleanor duo sort of form, and we get a moment from Brittany where they're talking about numbers. Brittany says, "We can't run every situation," and I'm like, "Why? Why can we not run numbers for every possible outcome?"
Jacob being a game bot.
Yeah, I'm like, Brittany, why can we not run? I mean, what you're looking at is you all voting out Allison. I feel like there are limited outcomes for if you all 5 vote Allison. I mean, the outcome is Allison goes out, or Allison plays keys, and the 5 of you have to revote amongst yourselves.
Or Allison has an idol, and then idles out whoever Allison wants the idol on. That may be Brittany.
Yeah, so I guess my main point of confusion for this episode, Eleanor tells us that her number 1 is Brittany. We also know Eleanor is pretty good with Jacob. She tells us a couple times, like, Jacob was my first alliance. I'm going to be loyal to it. But Brittany's my number 1. Why did Brittany throw the rogue vote on Eleanor?
Eleanor asked her to.
Yeah.
Do what?
We can talk about that. Process that. Eleanor asked her to put her name down.
I missed that completely.
Yeah, it changes it, but I did want to talk about that.
Let's do it.
I would never. I would never ask anyone to put my name down for any reason. I would either have asked her to put someone else's name down, or if that is the scenario, what I would want to do from that move, and I can't even unpack the move right now, but if you're going to do it, what I would like to see this next episode is those 2 split off, knowing that they did it, but test the other ones for their loyalty. See who their loyalty would go with if like these 2 were to split. So you have Eleanor go ask the other 3 if it was them, but have them potentially have her do that after Brittany says that she voted Eleanor.
Did any of the other three know? I know Jacob. Jacob did not know.
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like also if I'm Brittany and my number one ally comes up to me and is like, "Hey, just in case Allison plays something, can you write a vote for me so I go out instead?"
Carlos
As
would
your
never.
closest ally, I'm like, why don't we write down Maggie's name or Mariah's name or Jacob's name instead?
Well, she was with it because she didn't want the chance for the revote to happen and then her be the vote. Eleanor's reason was if one of us is going to go on and it could be one of us, I would want it to be you.
Yeah, this was
Which is what I
sacrificial.
do.
But if I'm Brittany hearing that, I'm saying no. Instead of me writing Eleanor, I'm going to write Jacob, Mariah, or Maggie instead.
Yes.
Well, I think if you're Brittany and Eleanor wants to be self-sacrificial, I mean, I think you ask Eleanor to write down someone else that's not you. But I think this is Eleanor saying, "Look, I'd rather just take the hit for you, and I will follow my sword," which is.
But I have a problem with that
pretty
because
much-
I like Eleanor, so she's not allowed to do that.
I like Eleanor too, and anytime someone's like, you go ahead of me, I'm like, no, you go.
This is her first game. She's getting emotionally attached to people like Brittany, and she's willing to sacrifice herself for Brittany. I get it, but I'm also like, Eleanor, stop.
Can we talk
in a
about
way,
something
I
else
do
Eleanor
think-
does? Eleanor also outright just tells Allison, "I'm voting for you."
Yeah.
Right? And
Blue
like,
and
I
blue
don't know
all
if
the way
anyone.
through.
Sorry, Makenzi, say that again.
She repeats like blue and blue all the way through at tribal. 10 toes down.
And I don't know if anyone else outright tells Allison, "Sorry, I'm writing your name down," but it seems very clear Eleanor is being the most vocal about it, and Allison knows that. Have you ever in a game done that to a person where you say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm writing your name down"?
I did it to Daddy Matt like 3 times.
Yeah, I also did it to Daddy Matt. I'm like, I can't even talk to you anymore. It's me against you.
I didn't do it to anybody else. All 3 of the final 3 told me they were voting me out at Final 4 last season, which was traumatizing. I cried for like 30 minutes that round. But yeah, I mean, I'm a direct player, but I'm not like, hey, we're enemies, I'm voting for you, unless I'm like, hey, we're on opposite sides, I'm voting for you, but we should try, you're going to survive, so we should work together moving forward.
Yeah, mine were bad because it was like, I don't have a working relationship with you and I will not, which is in the same way that Eleanor said it. And I don't think that's really the way to go, but also that's her conviction. That's what she wants.
It's very funny.
It's funny.
I mean, I've done this in a season where, like, Final 7, I was like, "I'm sorry, Charity, I'm writing your name down. Nothing's going to change my mind. You're welcome to write my name down." And I get voted out. And a 3-4 vote because someone flips on me.
When I played Survivor Columbus, and this was one of my earliest LRGs, I did the same thing. I'm like, I'm sticking to my tribe. We have the numbers. How could this go wrong? And then other people tried to come to talk to me, and I'm like, no, you want to talk to me now because you're in the majority. It's you. Oh, it was me.
Wow.
They flipped it on me. So
Yeah, and it seems like Allison is kind of like, well, obviously Eleanor tells Allison that she's voting for her. Allison seems to already know that Jacob is against her because of the sort of after tribal scene we got from last episode where they hash it out for a second and it like clicks that, yeah, they're formally not working together. Allison knows.
Well, it's more of Jacob, I think, feels like a bit betrayed the fact that what Allison did, she didn't tell him. Right, so Allison did not disclose to him the information. Therefore, it's like, hey, like, I just don't know if we're able to work together.
But why would Allison disclose that to Jacob? Like they were like half working together on Yellow.
We gave her 2 keys,
we gave
right?
her,
Like,
yeah, with thinking it was going towards something else.
You also have to think from Allison's perspective, if you see Jacob and Mariah, who you think you're working with, link back up with these other 3 blues, and Eleanor's pitching to you blue strong, blue strong, blue strong, you're going to doubt Jacob.
Yeah.
well, I mean, everyone on this tribe is trying to be Jacob and Mariah's best friends. Right.
Well, it doesn't seem like Brittany or Eleanor particularly care. They're kind of playing their own thing. But Maggie and Allison for sure are trying to get in good with Jacob and Mariah.
Makenzi, you came into this episode saying there are things I would do differently. You kind of talked about that for the red tribe. Looking at everything that went down the blue tribe, what would you have changed or done differently? What were the missed opportunities?
Okay, wait. I might have already. Oh, mostly. So I started saying with the Eleanor thing, I wouldn't have continued to say blue and blue all the way through. I would pull back. It rhymes. It's very fun. But I just can see that coming back to bite her.
How though? Because everyone who survived the tribal is blue. So if I'm anyone other than Eleanor, it makes me feel good hearing Eleanor repeat that she trusts me.
No, except that Eleanor, I think, truly may be the bottom of this tribe.
Well, that's kind of hard to tell. It seems numbers-wise like it may be a 3-2 if it were to come down to it. And she did just get a vote. So, like, Allison, I have written down Allison's point was kind of proven.
Yeah.
But does Eleanor know she's on the bottom?
He asked for the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that if Jacob, Mariah, and Maggie say, sorry, Brittany and Eleanor, it's going to be one of you two, Eleanor's going to say, yes, it should be me over Brittany if this is what's going to happen.
Well, another thing with the writing the name down is that name's already been out now. You know, so if we have to talk about another name, one already got written down.
Yep.
Easy.
Well, and I guess if I'm Allison and I'm really trying to stay safe, you see Eleanor's not budging. Where do you go? Because like you can lay out numbers to Brittany, and Brittany's a logical person. Well, Brittany's an emotional person, but she's a logical person too. And like you can explain, okay, Brittany, I'm gone. I'm Allison. I'm gone. You 5 have to go vote again. What happens? It's a 3-2 against you or Eleanor. Okay, you can flip Brittany, but if Eleanor's not budging, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So like if you're Allison, what are you doing after you see Eleanor's not budging? And that's said in front of Mariah.
I mean, we haven't talked about what Allison could have done, but I don't know what Allison could have done this
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you go to Jacob and Mariah and you like do every possible thing you can to beg, plead, give them keys, like say, tell me who to vote for, I'll prove it, like whatever you want to do. Like I don't have options, but I mean that's basically what we see she did. So
yeah,
I think she just got swap screwed. These people are too loyal to their original tribes.
But maybe it works for them.
Maybe she comes back from Redemption Island. There's a lot of people on Redemption Island right now. I believe we have 8.
Another thing. So if she comes back and she could say, okay, well, hey, everyone on red, Eleanor's blue and blue all the way through. She will not work with you.
Yep.
Or
I mean, that's what
she
she
goes
does.
there with that information and she tells people and someone brings it back in. I just don't think say that.
Well, if you're on Redemption, if you're anyone on Redemption and you know that only one of you is coming back in, you get everybody to share as much info as possible and you all rally behind whoever's going back in.
Everyone has that idol clue now.
Yeah.
Yep, because Zach saw an idol clue, it's potential everybody on Redemption has an idol clue now. I guess we'll see that when the Redemption episode or episodes happen. But anything else about the Blue Tribe before we get to Tribal?
No.
Cool. It's a pretty sad Tribal, all things considered. Allison ends up playing 2 safety keys. They don't go through. Everybody votes for Allison except for the one backup vote from Brittany that goes on Eleanor per Eleanor's request. Apparently, I don't know how I missed that Eleanor requested it.
I missed it the first time as well.
And Mariah doesn't vote.
It was in the credits scene when Brittany explains her vote. That was the only moment you hear why.
Oh, that's probably why, because I was probably typing something in the live chat. And I didn't watch the credits on my rewatch because I'm a fake fan. Yeah, I mean, Mariah successfully banks a vote that she'll be able to use in the future. Did you notice, was there an expiration date on that, on when she could use the extra? Was it like final 5 or something?
I didn't touch that.
Yeah, I can check with Casey on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something else I wanted to check as well. I wanted to do a little check-in on where we're at with bounties. Bounties. Okay. So because Allison was voted out, Eleanor has now inherited Maggie as a bounty. Maggie's name's getting passed around a lot this season.
Wait, so does the inheritance works even if you don't vote out your original bounty?
So there have been some rules inconsistencies this season, and I'm not here to judge anyone.
Okay.
But
when you write the rule book, we'll know the answer.
We are going to be writing a rule book this summer, a Surviving Bloomington rule book. I'm dreading taking that on, but it's fine. I can make it through. Yeah, so technically Eleanor shouldn't have inherited Allison as a bounty, but did because she technically cast a vote for Allison, and then inherited Maggie after that. So Maggie's name is held currently by Eleanor. But yeah, I just wanted to check in on that real quick because I knew something weird had happened. Technically, Eleanor should have never gotten Allison in the first place, but she did, so she inherited Allison.
But she didn't vote Allison, so she got no key anyways. No, she did vote Allison.
She voted Allison. Yeah, she voted Allison and gets a key, even though Allison had none. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're moving forward. Final 11. It's basically a 5 versus 5 plus 1.
And Eric.
Yeah, Eric's the +1.
Eric's on the island, man.
5v5 versus Eric.
Anything else about actual content of the episode, like recap wise, theorizing, anything like that? Cool. Let's, Stephen, I think you have a couple of gifts for us. Makenzi, you had mentioned, I think before we went live, or maybe after we went live, that you had some favorite quotes.
Yeah.
Go for it while Stephen pulls his stuff up.
I just really liked Joelle pointing in the woods at Eric in the clown costume and going, "Remember those clowns from 2016?" That just laughed.
Is that who all the clowns were? It was just Eric.
Time traveling.
And then Eric calling his thing the donation king, because of course he did.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That. Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, Eric made this episode for me. Everything that happened on Blue, I could have like taken or left because like it was a sad vote out, and also Eleanor's being weird. But the red side of things, with it being a 5 versus 1, is my favorite plot line at the moment, with Eric just hating his positioning and everyone on his team.
All right,
Stephen.
So this is the moment when Eric uses his Donation King advantage and is taking Jacob out of the competition. I just love it's like, Eric, you're gonna do, like, Jacob kind of looks away, looks back, is like, yeah, it's me, isn't it? And just like it's just this, I don't know, I like this moment a lot.
It's even funnier that they're wearing blindfolds that look like sleeping masks.
Yeah.
They are sleeping masks.
It's
Exactly.
a very cute moment.
Again, I think I'll be curious if Fred loses, if there is some sort of Hail Mary to give Eric keys. But who knows? Probably not. They'll let him die.
I'm sure that
yeah.
the outfits aren't like doing him favors with the teammates, the outfits and the antics. Like,
I mean, like I said, Eric has to try his hardest in these tribal immunity challenges because he knows if they lose, he's done. So he has to fight hard.
He's so much
fun. And thankfully, I think Eric actually really lucked out here. Not that he ended up like winning this challenge for his tribe or anything, but I think something good is he could have. This is a challenge where one person can win the challenge for their tribe.
Well, he
which is
did
nice.
work in this challenge too. Everyone, he was like tapping instead of touching with his foot. I don't know if that was more helpful, but
Yeah, it was just you just have to touch it, and he realized that. It's just like in baseball, you just got to touch home plate.
yeah.
Just throw your entire body. I don't know. This felt like fully unnecessary, but I loved it anyways to see him just do this right now. Because unlike the next one, there's no one around him for this. But this one, we were talking this one. This is
Yeah. Rewound.
Brittany's face is cracking me up.
It's like I love three things. I love Brittany's intensity, right? She's just like going for it. I love Casey just like trying to survive this. And then like the full on almost slide tackle that goes on here, right? It's not purposeful, but
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, Brittany's funnier in this to me than Savannah and Mariah. She's so serious.
I like Casey jumping. Why is he doing that? Is he just getting on
He's
his
excited. He's excited. He's like a little kid on Christmas.
So I can see why Mariah is like in pain after this because like Savannah hits her directly on the hip when she falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other hip is on the ground. So
Yeah.
not a comfy landing.
So this is why I was asking.
Such a cool moment.
Yeah, so when they were blindfolded, Casey basically got everybody around to like talk up, like he was like amp up casual conversation or whatever, snuck up right behind them, placed it down as quietly as he could. So as soon as they say go, the red tribe starts yelling for Savannah to turn around, but nobody on blue said anything.
Whoa, that's cool.
And I don't know if it was like they just didn't realize like because they had been calling out to the players before, and like there'd been chatter from those same players.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened. I may be misremembering, but I'm pretty confident what happened was red said something about turn around, but blue was quiet.
They're shouting immediately, saying, "Hey, come back, or turn around." And then
I think that's what happened, if I remember correctly. Casey will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty confident that's what happened. And that's how they won. Again, Savannah, kind of the hero in this challenge.
I like how excited she gets.
Her shoulders hurt after carrying her team this hard.
Exactly.
Right.
And so what I like about challenges, they make very easy gifts. Non-challenges, I have 2 gifts. And so
this is psycho behavior. This clip is unhinged.
By the way,
this is like what this is like, oh my gosh, my mind just completely blanked. That movie, the witch movie in the forest.
Yes. So
the Trials Project. Yeah.
The Blair Witch Project. It's giving that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless Eric. That's all I'll say. Also, using your bag space for a clown costume is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a horn in there. He has like 2 dozen noses. He packed very, very well for this experience.
And the ribbon.
But yeah, Eric's doing what he needs to do right now, which is looking for keys and fighting Joelle. So
real fast, comment from Joelle from the last gift. Blue shouted first, and we immediately started shouting too. So.
There you go. Yep. And it worked.
Mm-hmm. They shouted louder.
So this is like the opening scene when we cut back to Blue.
That is
the duality of Allison and Eric. If they were just in opposite places, what a different story we would be seeing unfold.
Yeah, no, this is.
I'm so bummed about her.
I mean, I thought losing Zach was hard. Losing Allison's been harder.
Yeah,
I agree. These 2 vote outs back to back have been a really rough mid game.
This was the hardest one for me because it was like I really don't know what she could have tried or done better. Like she really threw it all out.
I mean, I think the previous round she had to stay in Jacob's good graces, keep him in the know, and make it so doing this. I'm really relying on the fact that when we lose next, I am not being gunned for that. You want to keep me.
I guess one thing that maybe she could have done, and I don't know if she did, I just thought of it, is I guess maybe while you're playing the challenge, you talk to the other tribe and ask for keys.
Yeah.
That. Did she try groveling?
Do what?
Did she try groveling?
Groveling? I don't know. Did she try blackmail? I mean, that's. I guess she could have taken a hostage. I don't know. She didn't try everything.
Physical threats.
Yeah, threats. Exactly. Bribery. Hey, if you save me, I'll give you $5,000 after the game.
If
I
you
don't
steal
know.
Production's car keys, can you play those as Shot in the Dark?
Ooh, good question.
This goes to Marshawn finding the keys and the torches that were decoration in case it's like, wait, no, those aren't actually as in play.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
That's our episode. Couple of logistic things we're gonna do. We have our player of the week points, our Bloomy points, and I think this episode may be the hardest episode of the season for me. I had a pretty confident short list, but beyond the short list, I don't know. We're gonna give out each a 3, a 2, and a 1, barring somebody does something weird, which I tend to be prone to do, but I'm not this week. I am going to give my 1 point this week to Brittany. I think Brittany has had a successful swap so far. She's back in a blue majority. She didn't have to worry about being tricked by May Taylor Joelle, which we thought could be a possibility for a while. She still has her number 1 in the game, Eleanor, even though she just voted for Eleanor, but that's not on Brittany 100%. Brittany's in shape. She's coming off of an individual immunity win last round. She's proven she's a team asset. She's clearly taking the challenges seriously based on the GIF we just saw. Yeah, I'm liking Brittany.
For my 1
Makenzi.
point, yeah, I gave it to Allison because, again, I feel like she exhausted every option. I think that she did the best that she could do with the situation that she was given. And even though it didn't work out for her, I still think she deserves a point for that.
Yeah, she fought.
I'm giving my 1 point to Eric. The Challenge King advantage. When do you use it? I think this was the best possible spot where you're in the tightest situation. You're on the line. So I think he harbored it and used it. And I think it felt like it made at least a bit of a difference. And it was a close call in the challenge. So point to Eric, and as well as for giving us great moments of him losing his mind in the clown costume in a forest.
I'm going to give my 2 points to Maggie. I think Maggie had a good episode once again. Seems like Maggie's having pretty consistently good episodes. Following being on red away from everybody she's with now, she was able to get some inroads through Zach and Savannah and maybe through Drew. Obviously, Zach's gone now, but she still potentially has the Savannah connection. But she was able to flip back and pretty seamlessly integrate with Blue. She got some good intel from Mariah on the Mischief Makers. She has a Mischief Maker power of her own. She seems to be in pretty good with Jacob and Mariah, and she's back with her blue people where she's not really in seemingly a dangerous spot. So I'm going 2 for Maggie.
I put 2 for Mariah. She had a great opportunity to use her advantage, but regardless, she used it at a perfect time. I think that she's in a good spot, even though Maggie is kind of the one going in between these 2 duos. I just feel like Mariah is, I don't even think anyone has mentioned her in that way. I think she's in a really good position right now.
I'm giving my 2 points to Maggie. I'm going to bring up a comment from Jacob, where he says, Eleanor was my number 2 to Mariah. I was still most nervous about Maggie, but she's putting a lot of work to make Mariah and I trust her. And so I think we see Maggie do a lot of work. Mariah shares the advantage with Maggie, and no one else besides Jacob. And Maggie gets the clue to the idol. from some of the redemption. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of pluses for Maggie this weekend. So I feel like if this tribe went to their tribal council, I don't think Maggie would go home.
Giving my 3 points to Mariah. I think based on what we're seeing, Mariah is the best positioned on the current Blue Tribe. She has Jacob as a number one. And then obviously Jacob has the connection to Eleanor. Mariah also is clearly close with Maggie, close enough to be able to share an advantage and Maggie not immediately go blab about it and instead be like, oh, this makes me trust you more. Throughout the game, if we look at the 11 remaining players, Mariah's one of like maybe 3 or 4 who haven't actually had their name brought up as a possible vote. It just feels like Mariah is in a really strong number 2 position where she's not being viewed as a threat. And Jacob, I feel, will eventually be looked at as the leader of that duo and targeted over her.
Yeah, I agree with that. I gave my 3 points to Savannah. Big fan of her it's a culmination, I guess, of the last few episodes. But like I said, big physical threat. She's doing great in challenges. And I feel like her openness and willingness to hear other ideas at the very least is giving her a leg up on the team where I feel like other people aren't doing that as much. So my 3 go to her.
And I'm very boring. My 3 go to Mariah for everything that Drew said. I don't think I can add anything beyond what you said.
I think it's very interesting, something that as I'm editing my spreadsheet, I've noticed. This season, this is the second week that the person with the most total Bloomy points for the season has been voted out.
I mean, we felt it, right? Zach's done a lot, went home.
Yep. Zach had 20. He was leading last week with 20 and got eliminated. And Allison this week had 18. She was leading this week with 18 of the remaining players in the game and was eliminated. So if that tells us anything, the 2 people who are next in line, it's a tie right now for the lead between Jacob and Mariah. So
we doomed them.
It's possible we have doomed them. It's true. And then after that, just quickly running down. So Jacob and Mariah have 16. Savannah has 15. Eric has 12. So those are your like top 3. And then down in last with the fewest, we have a tie between Drew and Joelle with 1 each. So they're holding down the bottom. Everybody in has points, so that's good. Makenzi, where's this season going? What's the story being told? Whose winner story are we seeing?
I don't know yet. There's still a lot of players that I'm waiting to see like what they're cooking up. I really want to see more from I just like actually want to see more physically from Taylor, May, Joelle, Drew, Brittany. I want to see more of their gameplay and their story form out. Right now, my winner pick is Savannah, but that could change very easily. This cast is like we have talked about, not as fluid as what we've seen in the past. So I could see one of the bigger players that you mentioned being taken out in a blindside. I think some of the players with less points are going to go further.
Interesting. Is there anybody who's in the game right now who you've kind of mentally like, oh, this person, there's no way this person's winning?
Right now, I feel that way a little bit about Jacob, and a little bit about Eleanor, but just because I'm worried about their willingness to work with other people or repair things with people. So maybe those 2 might be in danger.
Steven, same questions. Whose winner story are we potentially viewing? And is there anybody who's in the game right now who are like, I think I've kind of marked them off my winner contention list?
My Edgic is weak. I think everyone the merge hasn't started, right? That's really when you think about people's winning games. We tend to start at the merge, even though the pre-merge matters a lot. It's just it doesn't tend to factor into our analysis of what a winner is. simply because the jury may not have seen that. So, yeah, I'm fair game for everyone.
And Makenzi, who's coming back from Redemption Island?
Wait, you answer the question. You say who you're pissed off. I'm not gonna be the only one who says who I don't think is gonna win.
Steven, you have to answer the question because I already know the answer, so I can't. So you can't leave Makenzi alone.
Shut up.
But I already answered. I think Drew's trying to say he's spoiled, and therefore his answers are biased, and therefore he can't participate. I know.
I can tell you that right now, from a viewer standpoint, if I'm only taking into consideration what's been shown on screen, I'm really liking Mariah as a winner pick. I'm really liking Maggie as a winner pick. I think Maggie, what's setting Maggie back potentially is that she takes time to step back and process things, which is really great until the game starts moving too fast for you to do that.
I'm worried she might get caught in the middle of something.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also really interested to see the trio of Joelle May Taylor hit the merge because we haven't gotten to see them actively execute gameplay. We saw the idea of doing the fake girls thing. And then obviously we saw them vote when they took out Trace, but that wasn't thrilling gameplay. Ooh, a vote split. But I'm excited to see what they may do.
I think you're saying the Trace vote was straightforward. You're in the majority, split the votes.
Yeah.
Don't count them with the minority. What's going to happen when they enter merge and the numbers are tight?
Yeah.
Right. And you also need to start looking at your alliance as well as can I sit next to you at the end and win?
Yeah. From a viewer standpoint, who can't win? I think that I would have some concerns about Drew because the perception of him is that he's not really doing much. We've heard the players say a lot that he's playing really straightforward, kind of simple, I guess, gameplay. Pretty basic gameplay. I worry about Eleanor or Brittany being able to pitch their case. Maybe, I don't know. Steven, you didn't really answer the question though, so
I'm not gonna give you a better answer than I gave.
That's fair. Who do we want to come back from Redemption Island?
Allison,
I think all of them have a good chance. So I don't know. No, I'm not gonna say that. I think going with Makenzi, I would, again, kind of I like Francis a lot, but Zach and Allison, it'd be great to see them have a second chance with footing back in the merge. But again, for chaos, Gibble.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, any of Gibble, Carlos, Allison, or Zach, or Danny are all good options for chaos. I think it'd be interesting. Exactly.
I thought the Chaos Tribe from last season.
Exactly. That's why I threw Danny in there. I think if you want to have somebody under the radar come back in, you throw in a Trace or a Ryan, or even maybe a Francis could be interesting. But yeah. Okay. Well, that's our recap. Steven, do you have anything interesting going on in the LRG world at the moment?
No. Besides watching the normal suspects, Survivor Pennsylvania, Surviving Bloomington, Outlast, hopefully I'll try to catch watching Passwords. Is that what this is called? No, Dilemma.
Dilemma. But the first one was Dilemma. Password was the theme. Yeah.
Gotcha. There we go. Okay.
Interesting. Yep, we got Survivor 48 is airing. I just finished filming and winning Survivor 49. We have Australia versus the world coming up in a couple months, so I'm excited to see more of Shawnee. Makenzi, do you have anything going on in the LRG world at the moment? You said that Greenhouse just finished airing. I'm sure people have lots of games coming up that they're not allowed to talk about, so be on the lookout for cast reveals and stuff like that. Next episode of Surviving Bloomington will be tomorrow night, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So be looking out for that. We're going to keep chugging through episodes up until the merge. When merge hits, we will take a break for to be determined number of weeks. Also, don't forget to follow Live Reality Games, subscribe to Live Reality Games, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Live Reality Casting. Also, plenty of games casting, I'm sure. Get in contact with Melanie or LRG Casting. But other than that, Stephen and Makenzi, it has been lovely talking with both of you.
Hey, thanks, Drew.
Juju.